Alongside Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price. Brent, Tennessee's looking for a new head football coach. Jeremy Pruitt out after just 3 seasons. A tumultuous ending to the tenure after a 6-game losing streak, and then an internal investigation, into recruiting improprieties. Tennessee decided to make a move and go in a different direction.
Yeah, it's just a reminder of how quickly things change in college athletics when you think about it. A year ago, there's the win streak, they're in the bowl game, they win the bowl game, they get all this juice and all this momentum going on. They get all the juice in recruiting during the COVID stuff in the spring, and it changes on a dime. It changes quickly, and there's plenty of unrest over the way this football team played this year in the 6-game losing streak, the offensive struggles, not being able to score points in a league where you got to score points, the inability to get off the field defensively. And then you throw in the investigation and the compliance issue on top of that. And I think at the end of the day, Tennessee said, you know what, we're in a better situation if we just cut ties and move on and clean the slate and move forward. And that's what they've done.
Well, everybody's going to, ask, where did it go wrong? I just go back to the quarterback play. To me, Tennessee's got a different quarterback playing. Did they win more games? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. Continuing to go and see Groundhog Day over and over again just wore on everybody. It wore on everybody.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about that. It did. I think the other thing that and we've talked about this on podcasts and everything else, when you sit down and you're making essentially an $18-20 million decision, okay, and that doesn't count a new staff, but that's basically the decision you're making at this point to clean house, is you have to sit and you have to ask the question. One, can we be better with somebody else? And if not, and we stay with Jeremy Pruitt, do we really believe Jeremy Pruitt can lead this program to the level that we want it to be? You can't make it the decision based on just wins and losses or this, that. I mean, that's a huge factor in all of that creates the doubt. But when you sit down and have to make that decision, I think you have to ask yourself, are we better with him or are we better without him? And the decision they've come to is we're better without him.
All right, so when I look at this thing, Brent, I look at this as there were no winners in this. I mean, I guess some of the fans think they were winners because they wanted change and now they're getting it. But, when you look at, transfers, both leaving or coming in, coaches that were on the market that are now off the market, everything involved, the fact that they let, Jeremy Pruitt hire Kevin Steele a week ago, announced the hire. There's Jeremy Pruitt's quotes about how close they are, and they are. They've known each other for a long, long time. They talk quite frequently, 2 to 3 times a week. Having talked to Coach Pruitt a lot during the season, I mean, he's constantly talking to Coach Kevin Steele and, just bouncing ideas off of each other. So, I mean, to me, this is just, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense the way it all played out.
Well, no, I mean, the timing of it, and again, the investigation, I think, went longer than anybody probably anticipated that it was going. And, the people you feel sorry for are really the kids and the players because, the timing of it's really bad. Semester starting, what are they going to do? This, that, and the other. It's just a real difficult time, and I don't think there was going to be a good way to land this plane, so to speak. It just was. If you're going to do something, it would have been much easier to do right after the season, but that would have obviously the investigation would not have been complete, and they were certainly not going to do anything until the investigation was over, and this decision is as a result of the investigation.
So Tennessee with a defensive coach out, question is kind of what direction do they go, Brent? I mean, you look at the last several hires, it's kind of been like when they went from Phillip to Lane, it was going from kind of the older, veteran guy to the young hot shot. Then Lane was a California guy, after 1 year he left, and they went to the Southern gentleman and Dooley. I mean, it's always kind of reactionary.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you've gone 180 degrees opposite of what you've previously had. And look, 3 years ago when they hired Jeremy Pruitt, I wasn't necessarily advocating for Jeremy Pruitt at the time because I didn't know a whole lot about him, but I believed that Tennessee needed to hire a defensive coach. I thought they needed a defensive edge about them, a toughness about them that comes from a defensive-minded coach, and that's where the league was. Okay? I was reactionary to the league. I wasn't proactive to the way football was going. It's a game now where you got to score points.
Yep.
You got to score points, and defense doesn't win championships as much as it once did. The old adage, offense puts fans in the stands, defense wins championships. Offense is winning championships. Okay, Alabama's a championship team, not because they have a great defense, but because of what they're doing offensively. So I think for Tennessee, you have to have a much clearer identity of what you're going to be offensively with the next coach, whether he's a defensive coach or an offensive coach. You've got to know exactly what that offense is going to look like, what it's going to be. And I think, too, you've got to go with a head coach, a guy who's got some head coaching experience.
Yeah.
I don't think you can roll back out there
and go with a coordinator.
With somebody who's unproven, who's got to learn on the job, because Jeremy Pruitt's been learning on the job for 3 years and didn't learn enough to keep his job.
Tennessee looking for a new head football coach as Jeremy Pruitt out at Tennessee.